I want to help you bridge the gap between effort and results. And that's what this tool helped me to do. It helped me to bridge the gap between effort, the effort I was putting in, because I was putting in a lot of it, and results. And it gave me a clear next move built around how I operate. That's what I want to offer to you. But the advice you found online, again, you've been running it, it's not working for you.
Welcome to Success Spectrum Podcast, where new entrepreneurs break free from limiting beliefs, build unshakable financial confidence, and step boldly into the life and business they were meant to create.
For the longest time, I was struggling. Not because I didn't necessarily know who I was, but because I didn't realize I had blind spots. There was a tool that helped me to understand that. And it showed me that I have blind spots, that I keep working on the things that I think are moving the needle, but they're not really moving the needle. I'm doing what's comfortable. I'm staying outside of the spotlight. I am doing what comes naturally to me. And so I should be able to succeed because you're supposed to do what's natural to you to succeed. But this tool, the Flight Assessment 2.0, which is based off of the DISC assessment, which has about 100 years of history, showed me that I was doing things wrong, that I cannot just operate in my natural and expect things to work out and expect to grow a huge business and help people the way I'm called to help people. Yes, you want to operate in authenticity, but at the same time, there's growth that's required, and growth is uncomfortable. So if I stay doing what's comfortable, I'm not going to grow and I'm not going to be able to help the people I'm called to help. This tool really showed that to me. It's a tool that is used by elite performers in sports and business with, like I said, about 100 years of history, and they use it to help them perform at an even higher level. And it's the same tool I want to bring to you to help you. I use this tool to help entrepreneurs all the time. And the thing about this is there's 4 different characters. There's 4 different archetypes. One of them is the pilot. They're decisive. They are driven. They are moving regardless of what you say. The issue, however, comes in when they can bulldoze people. They can bulldoze and waste resources. They could start something new without finishing the last thing. So they're always moving, which is great because it has a benefit. There's a benefit to that, but there's also a limitation to that. There's the air traffic controller, the ATC, who is super analytical and precise. They will research things you tell them just to confirm that what you said is accurate. That's great. Precision is required. However, they can overanalyze. They can get stuck in analysis paralysis. There is the grounds crew, and they are great because they're reliable. They're predictable. They are behind the scenes building the things that we don't necessarily want to build because they're doing the work that we don't want to do. And it's great. But they can get stuck in the familiar for too long and focus on maintenance versus growing. And then we have the flight attendant. The flight attendant is great because they're energetic. They attract everybody. They can talk to everybody. They're charismatic. But the issue is they're so focused on energy that they could start a project strong because the energy is there. But as soon as that energy fades, so does their momentum, and they move on to the next thing. Depending on which one you identify with, I want to give you an actionable step that you can take this week to move from where you are closer to where you want to be. For a pilot, if you identify with that, again, decisive, drives outcomes, can run people over or burn resources. This week, I want you to finish one thing that you already started before you launch anything new. For an air traffic controller, the ATC, who's a system thinker and precise, I want you to set a deadline. Focus on the things that move the needle. Set a deadline for it. And when that deadline comes, regardless of if you feel ready, that's the deadline you set. So you have to launch it. For the grounds crew, I want you to look at your existing routines and look at the one that you've outgrown and make a small adjustment this week. Change it, because that small change could lead to exponential growth. You continuing to do that thing, it's just maintenance at this point. You might be growing, but very little. If you make one tweak, that could lead to exponential growth, and that's going to compound over time, but constantly changing it is where it's required. So this week as a grounds crew, make that adjustment to your existing routine that you know you've been doing and it's been working fine, but you know that it can change. And for the flight attendant, I want you to pick one thing and spend at least 2 hours this week working on it. No new ideas. Just pick one project that you've already started and spend 2 hours working on it so that you can, again, move that thing further. No new ideas allowed. Focus on what you've already started. Whichever one sounds most like you, do that activity that I just mentioned this week and see where it takes you, because knowing your blind spot is one thing, but knowing how to build a business with it, that's a whole other thing. They're two different things completely. The report shows you your wiring, and I'm going to talk about how you can get access to the Flight Assessment 2.0 report shortly, but the blueprint session, which we're going to talk about, is where it becomes a reality, becomes a plan. So as an air traffic controller, I want to give you an example. I am an air traffic controller. I was spending so much time on building the websites, creating the products and the solutions, putting the social media posts together, the podcasts, and reaching out to people online through email and so on, still staying technically behind the scenes, doing the busy work, oftentimes that was not moving the needle, not the productive work. And that's where we can get stuck as air traffic controllers. We can get stuck on, this thing is not ready yet, so I need to fix it. I need to tweak it. I need to make sure that it's 100% ready before I launch. Nothing is ever going to be 100% ready, especially as an air traffic controller, because we want perfection. It is not going to reach perfection. We need to set a date, set some time frame where we are going to release this thing regardless of how we feel about it. So that's what that shift is, because the blind spot is calling it responsible. I thought I was working hard, and I was working hard, but I wasn't aligned. I was working in the wrong direction, if you will. I wasn't working towards the thing that is really going to move the business forward. The website doesn't matter so much. The offers, sure, it matters, but once I had a product, I didn't need to work so much on the wording and the landing page and the whole 9 yards. I just needed to reach out to somebody and make an offer. There are things that we are working on as air traffic controllers, which is about 28% of you listening, and we're not doing it. We know what we should be doing, but oftentimes we're doing the thing that feels most comfortable to us.
What if shopping could earn you cash instead of just costing you? You've been stuck in the cycle, tap, swipe, spend, watching your paycheck just disappear. But one day, after you stumbled onto this app called Rakuten, you ask yourself, why am I paying full price when I don't have to? But then you think, maybe it's just another gift. Then one of your friends tell you about this app called Rakuten, who makes them money and gives them cash back and rewards for thousands of stores every time they make a purchase that they were made anyway. You try it once, you discover hidden deals, compare prices, and you start winning. Shopping becomes a strategy. Every tap pays you back, and you still get what you want. You share Rakuten with your friends, watch your income grow, and become more financially confident. Download the Rakuten app today and keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket.
Another example I want to give you is the grounds crew. And they show up, they do the work, they're reliable. Everything that runs behind the scenes, oftentimes it's the grounds crew who are turning the wheels, who are turning the gears and making it operate, and doing the work that nobody else really wants to do, because they want to do what they can to keep this ship moving. They want to do what they can to keep everything even keel and to avoid confrontation or issues with others. So in order to do that, they'll step up, they'll put their hand up to do the work, no problem. But the thing is, that can be taken as a lack of ambition, but really it's not. It's just that they're calm. They're calm, cool, and collected, if you will. How they get stuck, however, is they stay stuck in what's familiar for too long. They have a business that they've been sitting on for months or years, and they say they're too busy to work on it because they're so busy helping everybody else. They call it realistic when really it's just that they're avoiding the unknown. The waiting itself, that's what becomes the cost. Your business doesn't launch because you're focused on what they need versus what you need. Building enough structure is ultimately what helps you with this, because that allows you to become reliable, or stay reliable rather, but produce forward momentum instead of just focused on maintenance. That structure is what we need as a grounds crew to help us move forward. One of my clients, Michael, he went from being a truck driver to a supervisor to a manager traveling across the country, teaching and training other teams how to really operate a team and how to do this thing operationally from the inside, if you will. And now he's an entrepreneur, full-time, doing his own thing. That's what understanding his wiring and having these sessions with me allowed him to do. It allowed him to see how he really operates, his natural state, and to regulate that where required to reach the desired goals that he was reaching for. I share that with you about Michael because there's two different areas. We can know how we're wired, but then we need to know what to do with that information. Information is one thing, right? They say knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is really power. Once you have the knowledge, you know how to apply it. Now we're cooking with grease. Now we're cooking with oil. I've had clients tell me that I've saved them so much time, energy, and effort, so much money even, because what would have taken them 6 months if they kept guessing and doing it on their own, we now compressed and did it in a one session, 45 minutes. And they saw the results over weeks as opposed to months. They could have kept grinding for another year, but not really seeing their business moving, watching somebody else whose strategy isn't even as good as theirs bypass them because they were aligned. Meanwhile, that person was still working a strategy that was not meant for them. Something they've seen online or heard, but it wasn't really meant for how they are wired and how they naturally operate. I want to help you bridge the gap between effort and results. And that's what this tool helped me to do. It helped me to bridge the gap between effort, the effort I was putting in, because I was putting in a lot of it, and results. And it gave me a clear next move built around how I operate. That's what I want to offer to you. Not against it, but the advice you found online, again, you've been running it. It's not working for you. Something needs to change. You don't necessarily need to change, but we need to get some information and take action on that information, which is specific to you, your personal playbook. And that's what the blueprint session is. I mentioned it earlier. It's a 45-minute consultation with me, breaking down your personal 19-page report of your flight assessment so that we can then come up with a personal plan that is specific to you and your business and where you are and where you want to go. We help to bridge the gap versus where you are, the effort you're putting in, and the result that you want to get that you're not currently getting. So after that, the blueprint session is where we sit together. Once you go and you get your free flight assessment, I'm offering it free for the next 40 or so people. If you go to apexaffiliation.com/flight, you can go through the assessment, get your personal 19-page report for free. Again, for the next 40 or so people. So if you go there and it's no longer free, that's because you missed it. After that, the blueprint session, again, is where we sit down for 45 minutes and we break it down specific to you, your goals, and where you want to go. If you're wondering why it's 45 minutes and why is that enough, doesn't sound like enough time, it's because we're only diagnosing the friction, not the whole business. But once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. It'll be clear as day why you're not getting the results that you want to get. And if you're wondering why this is different from a personality test, it's because a personality test hands you a label. The flight assessment, the report shows you how you're wired, your personal preferences, but then the blueprint session, we take that and we make it actionable by giving you your personal playbook for your goals, your business, and where you're headed. Which archetype do you think you are? And what has it been costing you that you haven't been willing to admit until now? I implore you, stop borrowing somebody else's playbook. Go and get your own. Remember, success is not a destination, it's a spectrum. So keep evolving. Kadeem here, and I'll see you on the next one.